Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to the channel. Happy Saturday, everybody. Hope your day and your weekend are going very well so far. Got a new day, which of course means a new NBA player prop video to share with you guys. But first, as always, people, please make sure to go ahead and hit the subscribe button, hit that like button, and drop a comment down below. It helps the channel grow, and it really does mean a ton to us. With a new day comes some new opportunities to go ahead and make some money. And today is the first of the month. Happy March 1st, Calomina, to all those. This month is very profitable, very successful, and very happy for each and every one of you watching in today's video and all of my videos. But if you've been watching my videos for a while, you know that the first of the month means that we have our ladder challenge. So we have our March monthly ladder challenge here starting today. We do it the first of every single month. We do a little ladder challenge. Now, last month did not go our way. The 1st of February, we lost it on the first day. We didn't make it very far. December, we did really good. We went like 5 or 6 days consecutively cashing plus money parlays. And I think January, we did 2 or 3 days. But we got to bounce back because February was not good enough. So let's go ahead and do our day 1 ladder challenge. I also have 4 single bets to share with you guys. So we're going to start today with a little 3-leg parlay as part of day 1 for our March ladder challenge. And then after the parlay, we're going to do our 4 single bets for today's video. So plenty of player props to get to in today's video. Real quick, before we dive into the picks, guys, we do have to do a quick little recap of how we did last night. And look, we were riding the hot hand. We took a little bit of a heat check. You know when you're playing pickup basketball, you hit a couple mid-range jumpers, maybe you hit 1-3. This is me. I'm describing myself. I'm not really a three-point shooter when I play basketball. I was always a big guy growing up, so I've always played more of a forward, kind of crash into the basket type of player. But, you know, once in a while, you get a good rhythm going, hit some mid-range jumpers, you hit one, maybe even 2 threes, and you feel like you're the man, and then you try to take these deep threes like Steph Curry range, and you either airball it or you brick it bad, and you realize, yeah, that probably wasn't the best idea. We went for it big time. We had a couple really risky legs. I don't regret anything. I think the data was still strong on all of them. But, you know, the Jalen Duren double-double, he got in foul trouble, which a lot of people called in the comments. Shout out to you guys. You know, Jakob Poeltl, minutes restriction, all that stuff that was kind of mentioned in the comment section. All of it came true. I thought they would overcome it all. They didn't. But you know what? It is what it is. We're still having a very profitable week. We're up still over 8 units profit this week going into today's video. So the loss last night does not deter me. We're still doing really solid, up over 20 units profit in the video series so far this year. Let's keep the positive vibes, the positive momentum going into today's video. 3-leg parlay followed by 4 single bets coming your way right now. Jumping right into the outlier screen, guys, the first leg of our 3-leg ladder challenge parlay. Now, normally I only do 2-leg parlays for ladder challenges, but today I did 3 legs because I love all 3 of these player props so much. I couldn't leave one out. I'd feel like a jackass if I didn't put all 3 in the parlay. So first leg of our 3-leg parlay, we're going Dillon Brooks of the Houston Rockets over 1.5 3-pointers made. And probably a lot of you are going to turn the video off or fast forward after hearing this is the first leg because A, it's Dillon Brooks, and B, it's a 3-point player prop, which I know is a very tough to hit sometimes. Is, you know, you could have all the data in the world in your favor and it still doesn't hit because it's a lot of luck goes into 3-point props. But the data is too sweet. The matchup is too sweet. I can't avoid it. So we're doing this as the first leg of our parlay. I believe in Dillon Brooks. Fantastic numbers here. He's cashed this over in 9 of his last 10 games. That is a 90% hit rate, averaging 2.8 3-pointers made per game. He's playing almost 30 minutes over, actually, the last 10 games. He's playing over 30 minutes per game. He's taking 6 threes per game, and he's shooting 44% from 3-point range over the last 10 games. He's been going off lately. A lot of good numbers there. Last 2 games, look at that. 4 threes versus Milwaukee, 5 threes versus San Antonio. And although the recent data is solid, if you go ahead and stretch the numbers out to the entire season view, it's still really, really good. So far in 2024-25, a 68% hit rate on this over for Dillon Brooks. He's averaging 2.41 3-pointers made per game this season. So like I said, the overall numbers, whatever way you want to shake it, it looks pretty solid. We also have the insights provided by Outlier. Dillon Brooks has exceeded 1.5 3-pointers in 10 of his last 13 games versus bottom 10 defenses for 3-pointers allowed, averaging 2.7 3-pointers made per game in this 13-game data range. That is a 77% hit rate. And make no mistake, Sacramento, they suck at defending 3-pointers. They have the 3rd worst defense in the NBA in terms of 3-pointers made. Look right there, averaging 14.6 3-pointers made per game allowed to opposing offenses. So defensively, they do not guard the 3 well. Dillon Brooks plays between the 2 and the 3. Whatever way you want to shake it, they rank exactly the same, 26th in three-pointers allowed to small forwards, 26th in three-pointers allowed to shooting guards. And look at the head-to-head data. That kind of makes sense. He's cashed the over in 4 of his last 5 meetings with Sacramento, including both times they played this year. So really good numbers across the board here. I do love this player prop for the first leg of our 3-leg parlay. And by the way, guys, if you are watching today's video at this point, please comment KALO, K-A-L-O, down in the comments section. We're going to start the month off really positive. I'm going to do a little giveaway. I know we usually do giveaways on Friday for Freaky Friday. I'm going to do a first of the month giveaway here. There's no ifs, ands, or buts. You don't have to hit. The parlay doesn't have to hit. All you have to do is comment KALO, K-A-L-O. I'm going to pick one lucky commenter and give them a free $25 Amazon gift card. Let's start the month off with some positive vibes. Let's give some money back to the community here. Let's keep the positive momentum, the positive energy flowing. So all you got to do, comment KALO, K-A-L-O, and one lucky commenter will win a free $25 Amazon gift card. All right, guys, second leg of our 3-leg parlay. And I did fail to mention previously, we are using DraftKings for this parlay here. We're going Giannis Antetokounmpo over 24.5 points against the Dallas Mavericks. This is an alternate line, minus 280 odds over on DraftKings. Again, these being alternate lines, the data is obviously going to be pretty solid. He's cashed it in 7 of his last 10 games, averaging 29.4 points per game over his last 10. Even if you go ahead and stretch the data out to entire season view, a 79% hit rate this year for Giannis, averaging 30.79 points per game this season. So some really good numbers for Antetokounmpo this year, which is not surprising. He's one of the 5 best players. So I would say 3 best players, honestly, in the NBA today. And the head-to-head data, the last 2 times he faced off with Dallas, he did cash the over in some big ways, averaging 44 points per game against the Mavericks across their last 2 meetings. And look, Dallas right now, they obviously no Lively, no Gafford, no AD. I don't know who defensively guards Giannis in this matchup. Brook Lopez, also not a bad spot to bet in this game from a single bet perspective because of the matchup here with no size for Dallas. Their center is basically 6'7". That's not a good thing when you match up with the Milwaukee Bucks, when you have Giannis, when you have Brook Lopez. So the only big fear, obviously, is the fact that this could be a blowout. And if it's a blowout, does that affect Giannis' minutes? Does he score as much? I think the matchup is too solid to not go ahead and take this. So love the spot here for Giannis Antetokounmpo over 24.5 points. That's the second leg of our 3-leg parlay. All right, guys, in the third and final leg of our 3-leg parlay for day 1 of our March ladder challenge, we're going Steph Curry in the Warriors-Sixers game, 8:30 p.m. tip-off. Steph Curry over 29.5 points plus assists. Again, alternate line over on DraftKings. This one, the overall data is okay, but the recent data is pretty solid. You see he has cashed this in 8 of his last 10 games, averaging 36.8 points plus assists per game over his last 10. He's coming off a really big game the last time we saw him versus Orlando a couple days ago. He had 56 points and 3 assists. So if he could do that again, that'd be great. But even if he literally does like half of that, almost half of that, we still cash the over. So, and it's a pretty decent matchup to Philadelphia overall this year. 16th in points allowed, 24th in assists allowed in general. But if we go ahead and narrow it down to the point guard spot, they are 25th in points allowed, 13th in assists. So it's a good matchup. And from a head-to-head perspective, you do see a 67% hit rate. 2 of the last 3 times he's played Philly, he's cashed the over. Including the one time they played this year back on January 2nd, he had 30 points and 10 assists in what was a blowout win for the Warriors. Like I said, the overall numbers, they're okay. 50% hit rate on the year. He is averaging exactly 30 points plus assists per game, so he's right on that line. So I think it's a pretty good player prop. That's the third and final leg of today's parlay. All right, guys, that's day 1 of our ladder challenge. 3-leg parlay, Giannis Antetokounmpo over 24.5 points for the Milwaukee Bucks. We have Steph Curry over 29.5 points plus assists for the Golden State Warriors, and Dillon Brooks over 1.5 3-pointers made for the Houston Rockets. You parlay all 3 together, you get a parlay of plus 173 over on DraftKings. Not too shabby for our day 1 ladder challenge. Now, if you don't use DraftKings, you can go with FanDuel here and parlay 2 of the legs together for plus 103. The Dillon Brooks player prop and the Giannis Antetokounmpo player prop are both available on FanDuel. So if you want to take a little bit of a lesser version of this, do it to 2 legs, plus 102 over on FanDuel. Also not too shabby. All right, guys, with the parlay out of the way, we now move on to the single bet portion of today's video. Again, the rest of the picks in today's video are meant to be bet individually as single bets. Now, of course, you can go ahead and parlay them together if you'd like to. Obviously, I'm here to provide you with insight, information, and provide you with my picks. I'm not here to tell you what to do. You can do what you want with them, but I'm just letting you know that my thought process is, moving forward, these are all single bets. I don't want people getting confused and throwing some of these legs into the ladder challenge, because the ladder challenge parlay was the 3 picks that I just gave out. Just want to clarify that. All right, our first single bet in today's video comes from the Spurs-Grizzlies game, 8 p.m. tip-off. We're going with De'Aaron Fox here under 29.5 points plus assists, which we're getting for minus 125 odds over on DraftKings. Data's pretty good on this one. He's cashed in 6 of his last 10 games, averaging 26.4 points plus assists per game over the last 10. Even if you go ahead and stretch the data out to the last 20 games, 75% hit rate, 15 of his last 20, averaging 25.75 points plus assists per game. And you do see, if we narrow the data back down to the last 5, last couple games here, you see a lot of low numbers here for De'Aaron Fox. Go ahead and stretch the data out to the entire season view. 51% hit rate on the under for De'Aaron Fox, averaging 30.25 points plus assists per game overall this year. So his average is pretty high, but for the most part, he's cashing the under the majority of the time here. Now, from a head-to-head perspective, the data is actually really, really solid. 4 of his last 5 matchups against the Memphis Grizzlies, he's failed to cash the over. He's actually cashed the under here, averaging 27.4 points plus assists per game across those last 5 meetings with Memphis. Now, he's been close, right? 28, 27, 28, some very close games there. But the reality is he's still cashing the under, so it's very important to take it at 29.5. You go lower, the data changes drastically. So 29.5 is the key line here in this spot. Now, it is worth noting he's only played Memphis once this season, back on January 3rd. Now, obviously, he was a member of the Sacramento Kings at the time. All of these games, he was a member of Sacramento. We haven't seen him play yet as a member of the Spurs. But Memphis this year versus point guards, third best defense in the NBA in terms of points allowed to the point guard position and 15th in assists allowed. So pretty good marks here, pretty good player prop, minus 120 odds too, pretty good value. And one last data point before we move on to the next player prop. De'Aaron Fox has failed to exceed 29.5 points plus assists in 6 of his last 7 games on the road. He's averaging just 23.1 points plus assists per game across his last 7 road games. So a lot of good data here, pretty solid value here. That's our first single bet in today's slate. Next up, we're moving our attention back over to the Kings-Rockets game. I actually have 2 player props coming from this game in our single bet category. Our first of 2 and our second overall. We got DeMar DeRozan here of the Sacramento Kings over 7.5 rebounds plus assists, which we're getting over on FanDuel for minus 118 odds, but it is available on multiple sports books for varying odds. Like the Steph Curry prop we talked about earlier, the overall data is not fantastic, but the recent data is absolutely to die for here. 9 of his last 10 games, including 8 in a row, he's cashed this over. He's averaging 10 rebounds plus assists per game over his last 10 games. If we go down below to the supporting stats here, look at the potentials as he's averaging between assists and rebounds about 16 potential rebounds and assists per game over the last 10 games. So a lot of opportunities for DeMar DeRozan here. He's been playing really well of late. Like I said, the further out you go with the data, it's not as impressive. You see in the season numbers a 49% hit rate on the over. He is still averaging 7.81 rebounds plus assists per game, so that's obviously still pretty good in our favor. But you do see of late a lot of green, a lot of red in the middle there. But of late, he's been really phenomenal. From a head-to-head perspective, it's not too bad either. He's cashed the over in 3 of his last 4 meetings with the Houston Rockets, averaging 7.75 rebounds plus assists per game across those last 4 meetings. He's played Houston 2 times so far this year, and he's cashed the over in both of those meetings back on December 3rd and then again on January 16th. He cashed the over both times and with some pretty good numbers. 10 rebounds and assists the first time, 9 rebounds and assists the last time. Since acquiring Zach LaVine, DeMar DeRozan has cashed this over in 8 out of the 9 games. This first game ignored. That's when he was a member of the Bulls. Zach LaVine. That's when he was still playing in Chicago. He's played 9 games with Zach LaVine now. He's cashed the over in 8 of the 9 games he's played with Zach LaVine, including the last time he played against Houston. That's back when they were both Bulls, so apologies for that. But yeah, this year, he's played 9 games with LaVine. He's cashed the over at 8 out of 9 games with Zach LaVine this year, so pretty good numbers. And then versus small forwards, you do see here they are 14th overall in rebounds allowed. If you do narrow it down to the last 7 games or so, they do rank a lot higher, which is good for us. So yeah, overall pretty good player prop here. The recent data is really solid. The overall data, questionable, but with Zach LaVine, he's been cashing this a lot this year. So like this for the second single bet of today's video. All right, guys, our third single bet in today's video, again, sticking with this game, we're going Jalen Green of the Houston Rockets over 26.5 points plus rebounds. We're getting this one for minus 120 over on DraftKings here. Again, recent data pretty good. 7 of his last 10 games, he's cashed the over, averaging 26.7 points plus rebounds per game over the last 10 games. Go ahead and stretch the data out to the entire season view for Jalen Green, you will see a 56% hit rate on the over, averaging 25.98 points plus rebounds per game. You do see earlier in the year a lot more red here for Jalen Green. Over the last, I'd say, 30 games or so, you've seen a lot more green. He obviously had that really hot stretch at the end of December, beginning of January, where he was just going nuclear. We actually bet on him quite a few times in that little stretch there. Since then, it's not been as consistent. You do see some, a good number of red spots there, but for the most part, since late December, he has been on a really good run for the Rockets. So really good numbers across the board here for him. The head-to-head data, now the overall head-to-head data, okay? 40% hit rate over the last 5. However, narrow it down to just this season. He's played them 2 times this year, December 3rd and January 16th. He cashed the over both times and had really big games in both those matchups. You see back on December 3rd, he had 28 points and 7 rebounds, and then again on January 16th, 28 points and 5 rebounds. Looking down below at the supporting stats, the opportunities were there. 9 rebound chances back on December 3rd, 7 rebound chances back on January 16th. And look at the field goals made. 14 shots he shot, 9 for 14 the first time. The last time, 10 for 20, so he left some points on the table there. 50% is not bad, but he could have scored more. So, like I said, pretty good matchup here. And again, versus the Kings defense, which is not very good, to say the least. Overall, Sacramento this year, 21st in points allowed. Not a bad rebounding team, I won't lie. If we narrow it to shooting guards, 19th in points, 3rd in rebounds. They do rank okay, but overall, he has cashed it both times. Pretty good matchup on our hands here from minus 120 odds to pretty good value here for Jalen Green. Oh, and by the way, one last data point. This will probably be the best data point. I should have probably led with this maybe. Jalen Green has exceeded 27.5. Now remember, we're getting it at 26.5, so we're actually getting even better value on this, and actually the data will change if we go ahead and alter that. But Jalen Green has exceeded 27.5 points plus rebounds in 12 of his last 14 games versus bottom 10 defenses for points allowed. Again, Sacramento ranks 21st in the NBA for points allowed this season. He's averaging 32.7 points plus rebounds per game across that 14-game data range versus bottom 10 defenses. And again, we're getting the line at 26.5. Look at how the data changes. That right here, this one on February 9th versus Toronto, that becomes a cash. So at the 26.5 line, he's cashed it in 13 of his last 14 games versus bottom 10 defenses for points allowed. So really good player prop here for Jalen Green. All right, guys, in our final player prop in today's slate, we're going back to that Bucks-Mavericks game, 8:30 p.m. tip-off. We're going Kyrie Irving of the Dallas Mavericks here over 33.5 points plus rebounds, which we're getting for minus 115 over on DraftKings. It is available on multiple sportsbooks for varying odds. This is a game with a lot of good player props. Honestly, I only took one single bet. We obviously took the Yanni prop in the parlay, but Brook Lopez, and I'm sorry I don't have all the data up. I didn't want to put up like 20 picks. But Brook Lopez, not a bad player to take. Maybe PRAs in this game. Yanni, I have him 24.5 points. You could take him at his 29.5 point line, which is his normal line. You'd probably be in a good luck there because, again, who on Dallas is stopping Giannis in this game? There's a lot to go with, but what I ultimately decided for the single bet, I only narrowed it down to one pick in this game, is Kyrie Irving because the matchup is really solid. And honestly, for Dallas, he's had to put on the Superman cape with all the injuries they've had post the Luka trade. And the data is pretty solid. He's cashed the over in 7 of his last 10 games, averaging 33.7 points plus rebounds per game over his last 10 games. Again, the line is 33.5. He's averaging 33.7 points plus rebounds, so he's averaging right around where that line is for him in this game. Now, overall this year, the data is not great. 40% hit rate on the season, averaging 29.79 points plus rebounds per game overall this year. But again, the recent data is what we're really looking at here because obviously the Mavericks have changed quite a bit in terms of their roster makeup throughout the season. Now, from a head-to-head standpoint, very small sample size. We have just one game to look at back on November 18th of 2023, well over a year ago. He did cash the over with 39 points and 4 rebounds the last time these two teams played, or at least Kyrie Irving played against the Bucks. But this is all about the matchup for me here. Look at versus point guards. Milwaukee, the worst defensive team in the NBA this year in both points allowed and rebounds allowed to the point guard position. Damian Lillard, at this point, he's never been a great defensive player ever in his career, Damian Lillard. But especially now, he is not a great defensive player at this point in his career. Now, he was solid earlier in his career. I wouldn't say nothing special. But especially now, he's not a good defensive player. He is a revolving door on defense. And it shows. They're giving up 27 points and 7 rebounds per game to opposing point guards. So a really good matchup here for Kyrie. Also, if we go ahead and look at the numbers without Gafford, without Lively, and you could throw Anthony Davis in there. It doesn't really matter all that much. But he's played 5 games this year without those 3 big guys. He's cashed the over in 4 of those 5 games. That's an 80% hit rate. And he's averaging 36.8 points plus rebounds per game. The only game he missed it versus Golden State back on February 23rd. But with all those guys being out, he's had to step up. He's had to play more. He's had to do more in order to save Dallas' season. He's really what they have going for him, because besides him, I mean, Max Christie's been playing pretty good coming over from the Lakers. They still have PJ Washington. They still have Dinwiddie. They've got some guys, but they're without Lively, without Gaffer, without Davis, this team is not that special. So Kyrie Irving has had to throw on the Superman cape, and this is a really, really good matchup here. Again, Dallas needs all the wins they can get playing in that tough Western Conference. You don't want to have to play a team like OKC in round 1, or even a team like the Grizzlies, who have a lot of size and whatnot. So if I was Dallas, obviously need to win these games to even make the playoffs in the first place. But I think Kyrie Irving's going to continue to put the Superman cape on and carry the Mavericks. So like this leg at over 33.5 points plus rebounds. Woo! 7 player props. We got them all done, guys. That is it for me today. Thank you very much, as always, for watching. One more time, please make sure to go ahead and hit the subscribe button, hit that like button, and drop a comment down below. I don't do videos on Sundays. That's my day off. The pizza shop is closed. It's my day to relax. I actually go play football in a football league on Sunday mornings, flag football. I'm not putting the pads on at this point in life. But it's my day off, so I don't do videos tomorrow. Apologies for that for those who are disappointed. But we will be back on Monday with another NBA player prop video. I want to say thank you to everybody. We had a very successful week from a viewership standpoint. We had a bunch of new subscribers, hundreds and hundreds of new subscribers this week. Obviously, our hot streak had a lot to do with that. To all the new viewers and all the returning viewers and everybody who's here watching today's video, thank you for the support. Thank you for watching. We put a lot of hard work into each and every one of these videos, but the truth is, I love doing it. It doesn't matter how hard the work is, no matter how much time it takes for the research and everything, I love doing it. So thank you guys from the bottom of my heart for all the support, for watching the video, for subscribing, commenting, all that stuff. Again, we'll be back here on Monday with another NBA player prop video, but until then, hope you're all winners. Enjoy your weekend. Have fun. Let's go ahead and make some money.